chances are you are an entrepreneur on your way to creating a business for yourself, learning a valuable skill so that you can provide it and get paid without necessarily having to work a job or a set amount of hours. Now, this was basically me 3-4 years ago, and now that I've managed to start my own business and learn a lot of things and put myself in the position of the type of person that has the valuable skills and only has to find the people to provide for them so that I can increase my profits and I can increase and expand the field of my business. Now, I used to think, you know what, I need all of my time. I need as much time as I can. I really shouldn't be getting a job because I need all of my time so I can progress faster and I can do this and I can make more money. And I was like, okay, actually, now that I have more experience, I can tell you from experience that you should prioritize getting a job instead. Now, why should you prioritize getting a job instead of focusing on your skills? Because of one simple thing. Chances are you have control over nearly 100% of your time right now. And so you decide what you do on a day-to-day basis. If you're still living with your parents, if you're still doing, I don't fucking know, if you're still going to school, if you're still doing all of these things that make you dependent on someone else's income to survive on a day-to-day basis. If there's food on the table, if you have a place to sleep, and the rent is paid for, then in that case, the only thing you have at your disposal is your time. Now, depending on your household, some of your parents might have been like, hey, you need to go get a job, you need to do this, you need to do that, and if you don't, we're going to kick you out and force you to do it. So that might have been something that happened. But like, for instance, for me, my parents never really did that for me. So basically they just told me like, hey, just make sure you figure out this business type stuff, but you need to be making money. So like within a year or 2 years, if you're not making money from it, we would recommend you to go get a job. But they never really forced me to do anything. So I had that advantage at my disposal, but at the same time, I understand now with a bit more perspective on the subject. So if I were to instruct my younger self what to do so that I could have more freedom in the future, as of today, I would tell him to get a job. Trade in your time for money, because it's going to allow you to have more freedom to do a lot of things. But at the same time, I wouldn't be saying this to my past self for it to change anything significantly, because I understand that where I am right now is a direct result of the choices and consequences that I've gone through myself and the lessons that I've learned along the way. So it's fine if I can't change anything, but I can give some advice to the future generation for you guys. If you guys are in the position of, oh, I really want to start a business, or I think I should start a business, or I should start a freelancing business, like a freelancing career, or if I should go get some contracts instead of going to get a job, or if I should start, I don't know, pressure washing or dog walking, or like mowing the lawns for like a bit of cash on the side, like a side hustle, turn that into a business in the future, or maybe even flip some items or start an e-com business. Any of these kinds of businesses and ventures you can do full-heartedly. Even with a job, you can, if you're working a full-time job, like let's say you're working 40 hours a week, you still have an extra 40, 50 hours to work on that business, work on that side hustle. So that way you have your main source of income, which is your job, and then you have your secondary source of income, which is your side hustle / business / whatever. And so what it's going to allow you to do, once you have full control of your time is that you'll understand what is super important on a day-to-day basis when you have a job and you still want to make that side hustle or business work, is that you are going to have to take control and full ownership and accountability of how you use your time. No more spending fucking 20 minutes there, 1 hour here, 2 hours there on video games. No more spending time like watching movies and doing X, Y, and Z and whatever the fuck. Everything that you do on a day-to-day basis needs to be progressing towards that outcome so that you can quit your job and you can go all in on the business because you're making twice as much money as you were making from the job itself. That's what I'm talking about. And until you get to that point, I heavily don't recommend you become dependent on someone else, because that person could one day just cut you off and then you'd be in deep shit. Like, let's just be honest. Let's just say what it is. So what you need to do is, why am I saying all of this? Is the whole point is to become ready for the worst outcome possible. If the worst outcome possible were to arise, are you ready to assume the consequences? If tomorrow if you're living with your parents and both of your parents died tomorrow, could you support yourself financially? What would you do to survive? Could you put food on the table? Could you pay for rent? Could you do all of these things? And if not, how are you going to do it? Are you ready? Do you have savings? Do you have a job? Do you not? Do you have no sources of income? Do you have a skill that you can provide value with? What can you use right now that is going to allow you to become a person that provides for themselves? And then in the future, if you want a family, if you want kids, if you want a wife, then how can you provide for them so that they don't have to do as much work? And let's just be honest, if you want to raise your kids right, you need to have the income for it. So at the end of the day, the thing is, most of us are not in a position where we are ready to provide for someone else, because we can't even provide for ourselves. So with this thought in mind, and the fact that the economy is always like being impacted by inflation, you need to understand that you're going to have to do much more work if you actually want to achieve what it is you set out for. The barrier to entry to becoming rich and wealthy is getting higher and higher and higher and higher, and the work necessary to get there is going to get harder and harder and harder. And so you need to understand that if you start today, you'll have much more of an edge than if you start tomorrow, because you'll have that extra time invested. It's as simple as that. The one man who can invest more time than the others will always outpace the man who doesn't have that much time to invest, or invests it like later in the future. So what I recommend you do today is you get as much power in your life and control as you can. That might be in the form of money. That might be in the form of developing your skills, developing your physicality, developing your mind, understanding things, and becoming a valuable asset, a skilled individual to the people around you, so that you are always going to be at the center of everything that happens, and you can be kind of like directing the kingdom. Like, you can be the kind of guy who either counsels the king or trades with the king or becomes that king in the future, which he can literally do everything that he wants, anything that he can, based on the fact that he provides value to the population, to the citizens, and benefits the lives of so many people that he can do whatever he wants because of that. He gets power and control over that, over his own life, because he has taken onto account these hard decisions and sacrificed himself for the greater people. And so what I want you to what I want you guys to do is I want you to take some time to really think about, are you in a position to provide like financially for yourself and financially for the people around you? And if you're not, or if you don't even have a valuable skill, then I recommend working on that. Not only having a job to get that little bit of income coming in, but also developing your skills so that you can become a more valuable individual in the future, so that in the future not only will you get paid more, but you'll also have more meaningful relationships, because people will rely on you, will depend on you. The more people you have that depend on you, the more you can like pull favors out of the universe, network with people, get access to opportunities that others don't, because you're more valuable. It is as simple as that. And when you actually think about it, you should get a job. Like, it's just a non-negotiable at this point. Like, if you're full able-bodied man today, you have like all of your limbs attached, you're perfectly healthy, you should be working on your physicality, working on your mind, working on your body to become a valuable individual. Pick out any story that you know. May it be a fantasy story, a story from history, a story from the medieval period, a story from the antiquities, literally any period of like human history. Put yourself there and think, would I be able to survive? Or would I like struggle the fuck? Like, would I struggle so much so that I wouldn't be able to do anything and I would probably die in a couple of days? Think about it. Think about that for a second. Because if all of your loved ones died tomorrow in a tragic accident, would you be able to still live your life as of today? And if you wouldn't, what would you do? What can you do? It's kind of like, I don't know if you guys have ever read The Art of War or the 48 Laws of Power. In there's a rule that says you should always be prepared for the worst outcome possible. You should always preemptively create a opportunity, a prepared self, in case the enemies counteract your plan. You always need to be prepared for the worst, because that way nothing bad can really come your way. Nothing bad can destroy your life, so much so that you can't do anything about it. Nothing in your life has as much power as you do. It's just as simple as it is. You have the most amount of power in your life, but you decide what you do with it. You decide what you do on a day-to-day basis, your actions, may it be subconscious or active. You decide. Am I going to spend 30 minutes here in a video game, or am I going to spend 30 minutes going to the gym? Am I going to spend an hour here watching a movie, or am I going to spend an hour learning how to become a more valuable person and providing a skill or a resource to people so that they can pay me for it? And then it all depends on how you invest your time, right? I would recommend, I heard this from a lot of people that are more advanced than I am recently, that you should invest your time in a skill, even if it's a job, that will benefit you in the long run. Get a job that would improve your skills, that would force your mind to adapt, to learn this skill so much so that you get paid way, way, way more than the average person. Like, instead of going to work at a job that isn't necessarily helpful to the people around you, I recommend getting a job that is in an environment where you can learn a skill that will be useful in the future. May it be customer service, may it be sales, may it be business, may it be literally anything. Like even if you want to learn like a hard skill, like plumbing or architecture or stonemasonry or any of these kinds of things that like metallurgy, buildings, like construction, all of these hard skills. If you work hard enough and long enough hours in those fields, you'll develop meaningful relationships, number one. Number two, you'll develop meaningful skills that provide value to other people in the future. So like, let's say you're an architect and you've got a stonemason coming to you and say, hey, I've got all this stone, or I've got my skills, how can I provide value to you and get paid in exchange? And he says, and you can, like, if you're an architect, you can say, hey, we've got a project, hey, so-and-so, can you come help us out with the stone, like providing or whatever. For example, it's a super basic example. Like, I'm sure it doesn't necessarily work 100% like that anymore today, but if you become a valuable person that can't be replaced as easily by AI and as easily by the next person, you will always be at the center of negotiations, and you will always have the power in the relationships. Because if you become the kind of guy, like if you become a brain surgeon or if you become a rocket scientist, it's very hard to replace you, because it takes a long time and a lot of fucking effort to become that kind of person in a career field that is extremely excellent at what he does. If you become excellent at what you do, it's very hard to replace you. It's very hard for your boss or someone that you work with or work for to be like, hey, I'm just gonna replace this guy because he's pissing me off. No, it's gonna be like, wait, he is pissing me off, but I can't replace him, because if I replace him, my company goes bankrupt. That's what I mean. If you become so valuable to someone that if they get rid of you, their profits just go, then in that case, they'll never get rid of you. It's never gonna happen. Like, for instance, I'll give you an example of something funny that I listened to and I noticed recently. A year and a half ago, I started working with a barbershop here in so-and-so city that I'm a part of. And so I was working with this barbershop and I was doing so many things. Like I was literally taken to a T what I'm telling you right now, which is I was becoming the number one most important thing in the business that would help the business grow and help the business expand, so much so that I would become such an invaluable asset that they wouldn't be able to get rid of me. But what ended up happening, which was a bit funny, let's not lie. So basically, I'll tell you a bit of a story. Start at the beginning. Start the relationship. Everything's started on social media content production. So at the very start, I came into the relationship and we started talking because I had developed my skills in social media content creation in the past, and I had helped one of my friends grow his Instagram from, I think, 2,000 to 8,000 followers by applying the very basic strategies that I had learned and that most people don't actually learn and don't actually take the time to really take into account. And I had applied them to a T, and my friend had grown his account. He was a photographer, a professional photographer, and thanks to combining his skill and his work and my skills in marketing and like talking to people, we managed to grow his account from less than 2,000 followers up towards to like 8,000 followers. So he basically 4 times his account following count, and the engagement as well followed. And so what ended up happening with that is I met this barber. I was going around town and I was speaking to a lot of people, and he was the one that picked up my offer because he thought that he wanted to do better than the competition locally, and he knew that he needed to start doing social media content because everybody was doing it. And so if he wasn't doing it, he was basically going to fall behind a bit. And so I managed to not only set myself up as an operator, which I was basically providing from A to Z the entire skill of content production. So basically I was doing, since I lived nearby of the shop, I was coming in the shop, recording content, then I was basically directing the content, recording the content. I was then going back home, editing the content. Then I was creating a description, creating everything optimized as much as possible for the social media account. And I was posting for him on a day-to-day basis. And like every single week, I was posting maybe 3 to 6 times, I think, a week. And so I was recording quite a lot. I was quite a lot in the shop. I was doing logistics to set up recording times with clients so that they were okay with us filming and that kind of stuff. And so did that over the course of a good, let's say 5-6 months. And then I noticed a new opportunity because I didn't want to just do this forever. And so what I noticed is a new opportunity to start running Google ads for him, because in the local area, in the local city that I'm in, there were at the time there was nobody running Google ads efficiently. And so if we ran Google ads, we would top at a number 1 automatically because we had no competition. And so whenever people would search online like barbershop, premium barbershop, or like special barbershop, or like corporate barbershop, would basically rank at number 1. And so you get a lot of power and a lot of traffic by just doing this, even with a small budget. That's what we did at first. We ran with a small budget, and he got an influx of, I think it was maybe, if I do the math, it was roughly maybe 50 to 80 clients at first on average he was getting, new ones. And so we managed to capitalize thanks to my skills in running the Google ads for him. So I was basically doing all of the content. I was doing Google ads, so I was refining the Google ads every single day, running ads for him, making sure that it was matching with the people. I was coming in person, talking with the clients in real, in person, asking them hey, what do you think about this, and I was getting their feedback, and I was improving everything on a day-to-day basis, and it was getting better and better and better. Now, okay, we didn't manage to grow his following on social media as much, but we had an active channel, and the fact that the channel on social media was active and churning, managed to put himself in a position, put the shop in a position where he could get more favors, and he could get more status, and he could get more respect from the people around him, because they saw that he was doing better than they were. And so slowly all of the shops around him started creating content, and they started understanding how hard it was to actually do everything from A to Z to become an operator as much as I was. And so I was invited to a lot of different events where I got to meet all of these different people. And the barber I was working with, he told me hey, I don't want you to be working with anybody else. I just want you to be working with me. And I said, yeah, that's fine. I would rather work with you and push it as far as I can, so that way I'm not creating competition for myself. And so he understood the value that I was bringing to the table. And he really thinks, at the time he thought, and he told me hey, I really think we have something great going on here. I really want to make sure that we push it as far as we can, and we do our best so that we can benefit both of us in the future, and so. And I was a partner at this point. I was not a worker or an employee or a contractor. I was actually a partner in the business, on my way to start getting percentages, like 3 to 5%, even maybe even as far as 10% of the total income. And so I was managing a lot of things, and this was one of my best first clients. And so at the first time we started social media content, did all of that, then started running Google ads, did that, and he started getting more income and more cash flow. Now, I've broken off the contract with him, so I really couldn't care less about sharing the numbers anymore. So at the time that I started working with him, I think a month for him would be like maybe like 55 grand, because I had access to his books. He showed me access to his books, and so since I'm not under contract anymore, I can talk about this because I don't really give a fuck. It's just a lesson for you guys to understand. So I had access to all of his books, and he was making roughly 55 grand on a bad month, and maybe 65 to 70, maybe even 74, 73 grand a month. So that would be New Zealand dollars on a very good month, which happened very rarely. And so I started running Google Ads for him. I started doing all of this stuff, churning all of the channels. And then I said like, hey, we should do the website, because our current website is really not selling the service as much as it could. And so I started drafting up a new website, and it was at this point that he started pushing back against my ideas. And so I started like saying like, hey, I really want to do what's best. Like, I want to make this business as profitable as possible. But if you don't want me to push some stuff forward, you need to tell me. We need to communicate. We need to be good at communication, so that we make sure that both of our interests are aligned, and we have a good time, and we make profit together. And so instead of doing that, so basically what happened was I was doing the website. I was drafting. I think I drafted over like a period of 2 months. I was drafting the website and going back and forth with him and with clients and going. And as soon as I got the final version ready, I sent it over to him, and he said like, hey, actually I don't want to push this forward. And I was like, why the fuck am I wasting my time doing it then? Like what the fuck? And at this point, at the same time, I was just doing the same old, and his numbers, thanks to the Google Ads and the content and everything I was doing, went from, I believe, so what I was telling you before is, on a bad month, he was making 55 grand. On a really good month, maybe like 73, 74. And thanks to the Google Ads I was pushing and the content I was doing, he managed to increase his numbers. On a bad month, he would make 75, maybe like 60, 70 grand on a bad month. And on a good month, he would make 80 grand. And so I don't understand where he thought that I was a bad investment, because I wasn't charging him as much as I should be. Like, I had a bunch of people in my ears telling me, hey, you should charge more, you're getting him like super fucking massive results, and so. And at the time, like, there was a time in his life where he had a lot of personal problems. And so he came to me, and I came to him, and I said, hey, I'm getting problems financially, but I want to like invest more into the business. And this is when we talked about the website. And then we basically went over everything. We were doing good. And then at some point he said, hey, no, I don't really want to do this anymore. And then he said like, and then one day, instead of coming to me and talking in person, he just like sent me an email. I think it was on the 1st of October 2025. He sent me an email saying, hey, I want to terminate our contract. And I was like, what the fuck? Where the fuck did this come from? Can we at least talk about it face to face? Like, do you not have the respect and the common like decency to just come see me in person and say, hey, can we talk about this before I cut you off, because I'm thinking about it. I need to have a chat with you so that we can find a common ground, so that we can help each other. And not, instead of doing that, he just decided to send me an email with everything and say, hey, I want to cut you off. And we had signed a contract prior to make sure that this kind of thing doesn't happen, and he violated that contract. And so I could have taken him to court for it, but I decided, you know what, for $3,000, it's not worth it. It's definitely not worth it. So I'm not gonna fuck up his reputation, or I'm not gonna fuck up mine at the same time. I'm just gonna do myself, and even if I'm getting fucked over more than he is, then that's just what it is. Like, it's fine. I'll just take the punch and roll with it. Whatever, it's fine. But at the same time, now I look at his business, and he's lost, I think, 1 or 2 employees, and he's gotten a significant decrease in income. Like, I see like literally almost nobody coming by getting a haircut anymore. Like, I see people from time to time, but it's much rarer than when I was there in person. And so I bet his numbers went back to what they were before. By the simple fact that I left, his business started going down. Because like when I was there, his business, well, basically, before I got there, he was here. When I got to the business and I started improving and putting all of the stuff in order, it started going like this. And then once I left, it started going back down. And so that's what I'm talking about when I say developing a valuable skill and becoming invaluable to the business, so that if they get rid of you, their business is going to fail. That is what you need to become. And so it's not easy. It just like it necessitates a lot of hard work, but I recommend step 1, get a job. If you don't have one, get a job. Step 2, improve your skills, become as skillful as possible, an expert in your field, and provide value to people. Step 3, partner up with businesses, help them out, and any and all career fields that you want to pursue, go for it and become excellent at it. Then everybody will gravitate towards you. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much all I have to say for today. So with that said, I appreciate every single one of you guys watching until the end of the video. As always, happy to have a good discussion in the comments. Give you guys some feedback if you have some questions. If you need some advice, feel free to ask me. Happy to help. And yeah, like, comment, subscribe. You can unsubscribe whenever the fuck you want. Personally, I don't really care. If I get 1 million subscribers, that would be absolutely amazing. But if I don't, that's life. I'll just do my best to provide you guys with as much value and as much lessons as possible, because that's what I want to do here. So it's a great, beautiful day. It's April 1st here, or April 2nd rather, maybe. And yeah, let's get back to work. And I'll post every single day, so I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day.